Welcome to Gorilla Sports Off Court, a post-game live reaction show following a loss for Denver in Game 4. I'm Liv Moods, and in just a moment joined by Shelby Harris, and this is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. So head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money today.
Hello and welcome in.
Do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome in, everybody, to another Gorilla Sports Off Court, a post-game live reaction show following Game 4, an L for Denver. Shelby, that was kind of depressing, but we are going to keep it positive here because the series is tied. It's not like OKC went up after this game. However, I think we have to start by talking about the realistic side of me. Everybody knows in these post-game shows, I try to keep it as realistic as humanly possible. And if I'm keeping it realistic and keeping it honest, it felt like had the Nuggets won Game 4, this series was theirs. Now you have to look at the series as a whole and imagine that it will go the distance. It will. It has to at this point. It has to go the distance. The home court advantage for OKC is going to make a difference here. Now, last game, we saw that the playoff experience was a difference maker for Denver, but we actually saw them kind of choke a little bit in crunch time when they really needed to step up. So it does feel a little defeating in the sense that we feel like, I personally feel like Denver losing Game 4 and now having to go back on the road to OKC, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a battle they are going to have to play like there is no tomorrow. Had the Nuggets won, I would have felt really confident that they were just going to win it all. Actually, literally win it all, the whole thing. Because if you can get past OKC, I think you're sitting in a pretty good spot. Shelby, where are you at with your emotions on this one? Are you feeling defeated? The series is only tied. Are you feeling defeated or are you feeling optimistic?
I'm in the middle.
Yeah,
I'm in the middle.
I'm with you.
Just because we thought we made so many steps last game, and then those same steps, specifically, I'd just say Michael Porter Jr., his inefficiency today.
Yep.
And then also just Russ didn't have his best game today. But obviously, you take the good with the bad with Russ, and Russ has been phenomenal the whole playoff. But just with everyone else kind of just falling a little bit short today.
Yeah.
You have to feel like it slipped away because after that third quarter, getting the lead finally after not leading the game the whole time, and then just kind of setting that momentum pace, and you think after the third quarter, you're like, all right,
this is it.
The Nuggets figured it out. They're kind of cruising. Joker's getting going again, and it just it didn't happen like that. The fourth quarter, they kind of fell apart, and I'm trying to be more optimistic and positive, but it definitely feels like the series might have shifted today.
I 1000% agree with you. I want to ask you about, listen, I've seen a comment or two saying, please talk about the refs. I hate blaming the refs for the loss or the win because there's 4 quarters to compete and there's a lot of stuff that the Nuggets did wrong in the fourth quarter that ultimately handed this W to OKC. That being said, there were a few boneheads on Twitter that were very quick to say, well, Liv, you can't really complain about the refs because the Nuggets got to the line 20 times at half. Okay. It's because they were getting fouled. Let's not pretend like the fouls should not be called. What is frustrating is, one, I'm sorry, and I know everyone's going to say, well, Nikola Jokic does it as well. SGA's game, and quite frankly, potentially legacy, is going to be affected if he continues to play offense the way he does. He's good. No one's denying SGA is not incredible. He's a talent. But just be talented then. The foul baiting is affecting his game. And some of you don't want to acknowledge that or admit that. Does every player really in the NBA foul bait? Yeah, that's how the game has evolved. But some of that, I hold responsible the officiating, because if you reward foul baiting, why wouldn't everybody jump on board and do it? Every team got to witness OKC foul bait and get the foul. They got to go to the line. It worked for them all season long. All season long. So I really do think SGA, as great as he is, that is starting to affect the way that I watch him play basketball. It's aggravating. It's annoying. And the referees I'm still confused, Shelby. I don't know if you caught the and one that they didn't count as an and one on Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
There's just some blatant calls there that you're just like, what? How do you miss this? And I have talked many times about the fact that refs should be held accountable for large mistakes. They're not going to be perfect all the time. We know this, but there are some that I don't care if you're an OKC fan or a Nuggets fan or otherwise. There are some that are so bad that you just wonder, how do you even have a job at this point? I don't like to say that the refs did or didn't change this game, because the Nuggets got to the line plenty of times and they missed some of those late in the game, which I think were costly, and they know better. Those are free points. But how did you feel like the officiating looked from your perspective, Shelby? And also, do you feel like the foul baiting, because I think you can argue Jokic does foul bait, yes. Is it affecting his game and his legacy? No. I think it might affect SGA's.
But
That's how I feel.
He doesn't jump sideways when he shoots, though.
That's true.
And that's, I think, where the biggest issue is the blatant foul baiting of, you're not even going to shoot a regular jumper by going straight up and down. You're jumping sideways into somebody to get a foul. I thought the NFL, I thought the NBA changed the rules when it came to these fouls of at least like make it look like you're trying to take a shot.
Mm-hmm.
SGA literally is just bumping into people and just throwing the ball up and expecting to get a foul off of that.
Mm-hmm.
But then also you see that he's struggling because of it. Because when like a lot of, I think at least 8 shots a game are going to be just thrown up because he's expecting a foul. He shot 8 for 19 today, 0 for 5 from 3. So if it wasn't for the 9 for 12 from free throw line, it's a whole different game. You're talking 16 points, from SGA. It's just, like you said, though, he's good.
Yep.
Just play basketball. Just hoop.
Yep.
And let your skills do the talking.
Yep.
All this foul baiting, it's just getting old. But obviously, though, it's working. He's doing it for a reason, though, because he's getting rewarded for it.
He is getting rewarded.
The refs are bailing him out. I get it being in a legal defensive position. But if you're both running sideways next to each other and you just lean into me and then throw the ball up, how is that my fault as a defender?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you fix that from the NBA side of things? Because, when it was the flopping thing with LeBron, they started handing out fines, technicals for flopping.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you fix this?
Foul baiting should be no different.
Because it's making a difference. Like the Thunder were in the bonus, 6 minutes left in the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
So every little thing that happens, they're going to the free throw line and they're capitalizing on it. So it's making a difference,
it is.
Late in these games. But it's not basketball. Like that's actually winning them these games. It's nonstop stoppage of play. Mm-hmm. And it's sad to watch because nobody wants to watch basketball be played like that.
No, I really do think it's starting to just like, again, I'm using SGA as the example right now because this is what we're watching right now. I also think the argument of, well, Jokic foul baits too. That to me is mostly coming from people that don't consistently watch the Denver Nuggets. Jokic will get slash marks on the back of his arm. He will be bloody all game long and not get a call. So God forbid the man tries what's working for everybody else. Hey, let me foul bait a little since I can't get a call otherwise. So Jokic foul baiting and SGA foul baiting, to me, you can call me a homer, you can call me biased. I don't really care. To me, they're very different. SGA knows he's always going to get the whistle in his favor. So the foul baiting has kind of consumed his offensive game. It feels like that's not the afterthought. That's the first thought. It shouldn't be that way. He is too skilled and too talented to be playing his game that way. So in my opinion, the foul baiting is affecting his game and could potentially affect his legacy. And he's just too good for that. I don't think there's a reason that he needs to do that. Jokic, I think, does try to do the foul baiting thing because, hey, it works for them. It works for them. It doesn't work for me. When I'm getting fouled, when I'm getting scratched up, when I'm getting poked in the eye, I'm still not getting a foul call. So maybe let me try the foul baiting thing. And that's the unfortunate piece about it is the officiating has let this go a little too far now. So everybody wants to do it. They want to see, does it work for me? And it is affecting the game. So it's tough. I want to pull up that comment from Joe. It says, if you are blaming this game on Jokic, few calls, I can tell Nuggets fans are upset. Come on now. It's a miracle this team is tied 2-2 with OKC. Take it and go. So Joe, here's what I'm going to say to you, and you're not going to like it. All right. First of all, nobody said a word about blaming this game on Jokic and calls. You obviously showed up late to the party. Welcome aboard. That's not what I was talking about. Number 2, and hear me when I say this. This is what I cannot stand. Why on earth are we calling it a blessing or a miracle that the Denver Nuggets, who have won a championship, who have the best player on their team, are tied with OKC?
Just happy to be there.
We gas this OKC team like they have done something on the biggest stage. I'm here to tell you and burst your bubble. They have not. They have not done anything on the biggest stage yet. So this is the disrespect, Shelby, I cannot stand, because I even hear it in the commentator's voice when they're like, "Oh, in a miracle, the Nuggets are in this game." It's like, first of all, both teams shot like shit in the first half. Let's not act like it was just Denver. Both teams couldn't make a 3. Both teams were not shooting well. It was a sloppy, slow first half. We know that. But I cannot stand people who are claiming that it's a miracle or the Nuggets are so lucky to be tied against OKC. Why is this luck? Did you not watch the 2 games that they've won so far? That's not luck. That's skill. That's playoff experience. That's championship level basketball. So that's the disrespect that Nuggets fans are sick of. Why are you calling this a lucky miracle? It's not. They have Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is not a lucky miracle. He's the best player in the world. So the quicker you get on board with that, the quicker you will give Denver the respect that they deserve. This series is far from over. It's tied. And yes, the Nuggets handed this win over to OKC. But to be honest with you, Joe, here's the part you're also not going to like. I feel like this win for OKC was more so because Denver lost the win and not because OKC truly won. I think the Nuggets crapped their pants in the fourth quarter, and ultimately OKC came out on top. Now, no one's saying OKC is not good, but don't call what we're seeing from Denver a miracle or luck. The Denver Nuggets are lucky to be tied with OKC. No, they played better basketball for 2 games than OKC did. That's not luck, that's skill. Anyway.
Well, I understand the initial thought of like, oh, well, the Nuggets aren't even supposed to be here. They fired their coach at the end of the year.
Right.
All right, but we're here now.
But now they're here.
We're here now. So it's not luck. We're playing basketball.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then also it's not luck. The fact that the Nuggets held the Thunder's starting lineup, the 2 made 3-pointers.
Yeah.
2 3-pointers between the 5, and that's from Lou Dort.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the Thunder's real production from behind the line came from the bench. And it was from guys who haven't really produced this. You know, we got Wallace and Wiggins, like those guys coming out off the bench and really making plays. But it's nothing to do with luck. You know, this is the NBA. Like you gotta put the work in order to even be in this area.
Yep.
You know, I get it. We can think about because the Grizzlies fired their coach and they fell off, but the Nuggets have won a championship in the last 3 years.
Yep, sure have. And OKC hasn't.
Yes, and they're champion. They're championship proven.
Yep.
And so no matter what anyone says, because then we have only morale.
Oh God, give me a break with only morale.
Only
Lord
morale saying the Nuggets. So Liv Nuggets being down, game 1 and game 3, with under 40 seconds to go is skill. Yes, it is actually skill.
Actually, yeah,
it actually is a lot of skill.
It is
because you're playing basketball. You keep it a close game so that you can win. Yep. Like yes, and I think people are getting skewed because that first Thunder win was by so much. Like this is how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But no, you're playing a legit team in the Nuggets. If a couple things go the Nuggets way, you're talking a 3-1 Nuggets lead. That's not luck.
Mm-mm.
So you're talking about a skillful, Nuggets team that people are saying if they can win this series, now you're talking about NBA Finals again.
Mm-hmm.
Is that luck?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. And
it
so
certainly isn't luck to me.
And so that's why it's tough to listen to like certain fan groups.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously they're not watching the games.
No.
You're just sitting there looking at ESPN, looking at the box score, being like, oh, look, they were just up by 20. Now they just hardly won. Oh, it's luck.
I can always tell the people who are in my DMs or are mentioning me on X or whatever and giving such strong opinions about Denver. I can always tell the people that are just listening to what the commentator's saying and then just copy and pasting that into their X account. By the way, the commentators don't watch the Nuggets either. So I would not take their word for it if I were you. I really effing wouldn't, because most of those commentators picked the Nuggets to lose in round 1, and they didn't. And when they spoke about the Denver Nuggets in round 1, they didn't feel super confident in the Denver Nuggets' ability to even stand a chance against the Clippers. And they did. So I can always tell the people who just listen to what they hear in game, and that's what they use against me when they're trying to fight me on the Denver Nuggets. Those people don't watch the games either, by the way. They don't watch the Denver Nuggets until they have to because they're up against OKC. They don't pay attention. Most people don't. Let a lot of people tell you the Nuggets are the most boring team in the NBA. I'm not sure what we've seen. These wins we've seen by Denver don't really feel boring to me. Now, Denver definitely made some mistakes in this one. And in my opinion, they absolutely blew it. Truly, truly did. And only Morale cracks me up. Liv is so mad. I'm not mad, only Morale. Every time you get in this live, you're a troll. I really don't understand it at all. And if you're asking who's to blame for this loss, there's a lot we could do.
It's a team effort of blame. Fourth quarter, everybody played.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fourth quarter, everybody. You can't make it 3 in the fourth quarter. Like, you're going to lose. But the one thing that really bothers me, and this is what's really going to hurt, Nuggets fans, you held the Thunder to 10 of 41 from 3 for 24.4% and lost.
Yep. And what's the likelihood you get OKC shooting that bad again from 3?
What's
the likelihood you get the Denver Nuggets playing that good of perimeter defense for the rest of the series? I'm not knocking my team. I love them to death. But we haven't seen them play consistent perimeter defense one time this season. Not one. So you hold them to 24.4% from the 3-point line and you lose?
Well, you also shot 24.4 too.
Right.
So the Nuggets also shot 11 for 45. So in that same instance, the Nuggets couldn't make anything either. And it's just, as an athlete, just thinking about it and just thinking about the way you think about how to move on from a game. This one's going to be extremely tough just because, man, you had the lead after the third. You fought all the way back, and then you just can't get anything going in the fourth. And after how the first half went, the first quarter, you're thinking, oh, are we doing this again?
Right.
Is this going to happen again?
I was holding my breath the entire first quarter.
I'm just like, keep it within 10. And then right before halftime, when they closed the gap and it was at 10, look, all right, the Nuggets are in it. But then that third quarter, you're seeing Jokic come back to life. It's like, this is the MVP. This is the guy we've been waiting to see. He's making some threes. He's getting back to the basket. Just really keeping the team in there. And then fourth quarter, they went back to that same old BS. And so that's why it's just, when you think about losses, and just like game 1 for Oklahoma City, and just like how it is today, you're going to have to see what your team is made of the next game, because when you come back out, you got to come back and bounce back. You can't just sit there and still be hurting from the game before, because that's how you end up getting your ass beat by 40 again. You got to respond. And so it'd be very interesting to see how this Nuggets team responds. But if you got to look for a positive.
Yep. What's the positive?
You held one of the NBA's best offenses to 92 points.
So true.
And that's the thing. So you shot bad. You had a terrible game. And granted, Oklahoma City played some great defense.
Yep, they do.
They played some great defense today, really hounding Jokic and really making it tough for him. But when you hold them to 92 points, you actually have to be feeling good about yourself, because how much they dropped game 2.
Right.
So you really, they almost had this at halftime at game 2. So for you to have this at the end of the game, you got to be feeling good, and you just have to know, all right, shots, we're not going to shoot like this again.
That's true. And but then the other side of that, and where my brain goes, because I can be Miss Negative Nancy, I try to keep it real, and sometimes my realistic brain goes negative mode. But the hard part for me, Shelby, is yes, the Denver Nuggets will likely not shoot this bad again in game 5, but neither will OKC.
You are correct.
And that's what terrifies me just a little bit. I do think, and I'm still holding on to the fact, that playoff experience starts to work more in favor as the series progresses. So as it gets down to the wire and it really is back against the wall type of basketball, I think that's when you really see that playoff experience prevail. We saw a taste of it last game. We did not really see it in this game. But we also know this Nuggets team, they respond well. That's what they do. They really, really do. The issue is OKC's got 2 more home games. 2 more. So if this goes the distance all the way to 7, You got to win this game on their home court. You don't have
Mhm.
altitude in your favor anymore. And you're playing in their house. So, it's easy right now, I think, for Nuggets fans to feel like, did we just not only lose game 4, but potentially lose this series? I think everyone is fair in feeling that way, just knowing what OKC is capable of, knowing that they're young, and knowing that they're a little more rested than the Denver Nuggets. And I think rest is a huge one. I think exhaustion is a huge one. We see it every postseason since they won with the Denver Nuggets. And we're really seeing it with Nikola Jokic. Nikola
Yes.
Jokic looks gassed. And can anyone really blame him? I mean, the dude did everything for the Denver Nuggets all regular season long. We're starting to see more team-minded basketball being played by Denver, where the supporting cast is stepping up a little bit more. In this one, you look at that starting 5 and how well they were able to step up offensively. The one person that couldn't is Michael Porter Jr. And that's why everyone is so quick to say, Liv, apologize. I'm not going to, because Michael Porter Jr. really is a game changer. He is. I talked about the fact that when you get a max contract, you're not just getting paid for your skill and your talent. You're also getting paid for the value that you bring. Michael Porter Jr. brings a lot of value. When he's on, there really is nothing like Denver. When he's off, Denver's very beatable. And tonight, today you got 3 points for Michael Porter Jr., and it's tough. He's very injured. He is. But we also saw him show up through injury last game a whole lot better than he did this game. And this is where I say, if the injury becomes a liability, you have to make some changes. And you just did not get enough out of MPJ today.
Man, he had that early dunk, and so I'm thinking, like, all right,
That's what I
shoulder
thought too.
looks healthy. I remember I wrote it down in my notes. Like, shoulder looks healthy. He's jumping through the gym. He got to feel good. And then he had a night like he had a day like today. But shooters shoot.
Yep.
And that's the mindset I would just instill in them. Shooters shoot. Shit happens. Go out there and shoot some more.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to hope for. But going back to Joker's regular season usage, I always talk about the Bucks and all that, but who's learning from the mistakes are the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So Giannis is never healthy during the playoffs.
Right.
Because he plays all regular season long. And I think Denver might need to try to figure out a way of, maybe taking a couple fines for resting him, because you're seeing now, game 4 in Denver in the second round, he's gassed.
Very much.
He's gassed. He doesn't even look close to the same player right now. He just looks like a shell of himself because his body just looks like it's giving up on him. And you hate to see that. So if you're going to be a championship team, though, what you have to figure out is, how do I save my star player so that he's on the ascent for playoff time, and not on the descent where he's over here struggling. So it's tough, because it's a fine line, and you really need Nikola Jokic to be playing at the MVP level, especially with this team with the lack of depth that they have.
Absolutely.
You really need him to play the MVP level in order to succeed and to turn on. So if he would have had a little bit more help in the fourth, it's a different game.
Yeah, fourth quarter. I mean, the Denver Nuggets scored a total of 26 points in both the first and the fourth quarter combined. You started the game sloppy and slow. You ended the game sloppy and slow. You're not going to win. You're not going to win if you start and end. You're playing your worst basketball in the game at the very beginning and at the very end.
At least they scored over 10 points in the fourth quarter.
Oh my gosh. I mean, 26 total points combined in both the first and the fourth quarter. And that's where, again, we were gassing up this team last game about their playoff experience and how clutch they were, not only in the fourth quarter, but in overtime. You didn't see that this game. You really didn't. I think you saw a little bit of complacency. And you just can't ever have that when you're up against such a young and hungry OKC team that is determined to prove themselves on a big stage, because they haven't yet. You just can't have that. You cannot have 26 total points in the first and the fourth quarter. Now, first quarter, both teams kind of shooting bad. It was slow. It was sloppy. There were turnovers everywhere. It was kind of a mess all around.
At home, though?
But at home, when you're supposed to shoot better, that's where you're supposed to play your best basketball. That's, if the Nuggets start, here's what I'll say. If the Nuggets start game 5 the same way they started game 4, pack it up. Pack it up and wrap it up. I'm sorry to be that person, but if they start game 5, because in a lot of ways, I'm going to be honest, I know every game matters. Every game you play matters. And the series isn't over until it's over. But I think Game 5 will determine who wins this series.
100%. But the one thing I would be worried about is the Thunder shoot tremendously better at home.
Oh yeah, I'm
They
petrified.
shot terribly
I'm petrified.
in Denver. Literally, they shot under 25% from three in Denver the last 2 games.
Yeah, I'm petrified.
And they had a game at 35% game 1 and 40% game 2. So you got to expect them to start knocking some shots down. And so what I want to see from the Nuggets, though, I want to see the Nuggets when the three's not working, I want to see them pivot. Don't pull a Boston Celtics
Right.
and miss 45 threes. Pivot.
Yep.
Start attacking the hole. Get the three the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the easy way. I mean, like get the and one. Like
Work
that's
smarter, not harder.
Yeah,
How
like
about
that's the way you got to do it if you're not going to be hitting your shots.
Right.
And then that's the thing. Just see the ball. And I've said this before. As a basketball player, you just need to see the ball go in sometimes to get that confidence back, to get that stroke back.
Mm-hmm.
That's a layup too.
Mm-hmm.
Just got to score, get the confidence going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing. We'll see how that goes in Oklahoma City. But like you said, though, they cannot start cold. But they have every game of this series.
Yeah. No, I truly, I know it's not over till it's over. But to me, if Nuggets walk away from Game 5 with a dub, I feel pretty confident that they're winning the series. If OKC walks away from Game 5 with a dub, I feel pretty confident they're winning the series. So I think Game 5 is a tone setter for basically the West. Because to be honest with you, I know that the Denver Nuggets have a chance to face the Timberwolves after this, and we know that the Timberwolves are the Nuggets' demise. But if the Nuggets can push through 6 or 7 games versus OKC and come out on top, I think you know who's headed to the finals, and it's going to be the Denver Nuggets. And I think Game 5, to me, is a tone setter. Whoever comes out of that game alive and with a smile on their face is going to be the team that ultimately prevails in this series. But you do have to remind yourselves, and hopefully the Nuggets are doing the same thing as they get on an airplane and head to OKC. Just in the same way, Denver will not shoot that poorly again, we hope. Neither will OKC. I don't trust Denver's perimeter defense enough to say they'll slow them down and hold them to 24.4% from the three-point line again. No, I don't feel confident to say that, so I'm not going to. I think OKC, being at home, will shoot better naturally, but I also think that Denver, through a little bit of exhaustion, will let up a little on that perimeter defense, and you're going to see more threes fall for OKC. So I'm going into Game 5 really with no opinion on who I think is winning or losing, because I truly think it could go either way. I think there's strengths that I like about Denver. There's strengths that I like about OKC. But whoever wins Game 5 to me is winning this series.
Yeah, I will say this, though. I believe if Denver wins, they do have they will make it to the finals. I'm not sure about the Thunder.
I agree with you.
I'm actually not sure.
Did you notice how I didn't say that?
Yeah.
Did you notice how I said if Denver gets past this series, they're going to the finals? I did not say the same about OKC because they have to face off with, they potentially have to see Ant-Man. Hello. I don't think they want to see it. Yeah, I think OKC could get beat 100% in the Western Conference
I'm
Finals.
just not convinced that the way they play basketball is championship basketball.
It's not.
Because, sometimes you have to go win the game. And SGA is going to have to take over and win the game. But I don't know if he has. I feel like he's programmed himself to not play his real style of basketball. You know what I mean? Like just getting to the free throw line, that's great. That's going to, put points. That's going to pad the box score. But it's not really necessarily going to win you games. You got to hit the big three. You got to hit a big shot, not a big free throw. You got to start hitting these big shots. And I just don't know if. Well, and this goes back to what we were saying before about nobody believes in OKC until they do it. And watching them this whole series against Denver, I don't know if I see them doing it.
I don't. I certainly don't.
Yeah, and especially after you see a team like Minnesota, I see them getting intimidated by Minnesota. And Ant-Man over here staring them down and taking the soul away.
Oh, I got to tell you right now, if it's not my Denver Nuggets, it's got to be Anthony Edwards that wins it all, period, point blank. I'm not kidding. The level in which he plays basketball, to me, the Timberwolves are just a more exciting OKC. They got more dog in them. You know, they've got a few more veterans on that team that have been there, done this, have maybe not won it all, but have competed at a high level through 7 games. I really think if it's between, no matter what, I think any team that has to face the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals should be scared.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm more scared of the Timberwolves for sure than I am of OKC. And again, it's very easy to feel super defeated after this game. At the end of the day, it is a tied series. You just know you have to play on the road in Oklahoma City. But we also know how game 1 looked. What's hard is that game 1 and game 2 could not have been more different.
100%.
The Nuggets were kicking ass and taking names in game 1. They were playing at a very high level despite a rest disadvantage. I think that's what a lot of people, it's like, well, the Nuggets didn't blow OKC out. I don't think anyone anticipated they would. They had just come off of a 7-game series. OKC had 9 days of rest. Like, no one was expecting that. But they won that game in a dogfight. And then game 2 was absolutely horrendous and humiliating and embarrassing and just wildly bad. So you've seen the Nuggets do 2 different things on the road in this series. Kind of makes it hard to gauge what you're going to get going back on the road for game 5. I don't know. I can't predict that.
Well, I can tell how the game will go just purely based off of how they officiate Nikola Jokic. In the beginning of the game, if we see them, because we see that they are banging Nikola Jokic, they are smacking him all over. He literally cannot go up for a shot without a hand somewhere on his body.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not necessarily getting called. And yes, he had 14 free throws, but he got fouled at least 15 times.
Yep.
So we can talk about the free throw, obviously we're talking about, oh, well, Joker's, like you said, foul baiting. No, he's actually getting fouled.
Right.
And that's the issue.
And has been all year and doesn't get the calls.
No, but also it's just like the Shaq effect. The big guys don't really get calls because they expect them to have to fight through contact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then SGA dives his shoulder into somebody's chest and then just throws the ball up with one arm, and there's 4 whistles. Every official on that court is blowing the whistle anytime he gets touched. And I just think you wouldn't get all this hate, you wouldn't get all this vitriol if it was just a clean game from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
But it's too much left up in the air for interpretation of that's not a foul.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what hurt. And as a fan, I didn't play, I'm not an NBA player. As a fan, that's garbage. You're supposed to be skilled enough to be able to play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Play.
Especially if you plan to be winning MVP. Let me add that back.
Which we all know.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like SJ is a hell of a player. Other than the foul stuff, I actually like his game.
Mm-hmm.
Like his game. I like his game a lot. He's a real good floor general. But we all know who the MVP should be.
Well, and of course, the casual basketball fans will
Giannis.
be like, really? Look at this series.
I'm joking.
Cut his mic. Cut his effing mic. He did not just do that. He got me all hyped up to say Giannis. Really? Cut his freaking mic. No, here's the deal. It's again, I love how people are like, she's so mad at SGA. Yeah, you're probably right. I hate this shit. I really do.
No, it's not people.
Don't like watching the foul baiting. And trust and believe, those of you that have been on my post-game live shows before know for a fact I have held Jokic to the same exact standard. I have said more than once, I hate when he does this and complains because he removes himself from the game. I hate it. It pisses me off. It doesn't matter who does it. It makes me mad. So those of you that are not here on a regular basis probably think I'm just upset because it's SGA. No. Not true. I hate it no matter who does it. So really not a fan of it. It's ruining the game of basketball. Just play. SGA is good enough and talented enough to just play basketball and still win basketball games. When foul baiting is your first response and not a secondary response, that's when it gets frustrating. I do think Jokic flops. I do think Jokic complains to the refs. I know that. I've seen it, and it drives me insane. It drives me nuts. But that is not what he's doing before he's playing offense. That's the follow-up. It just drives me crazy. But we do have a clip from Coach Adelman. We actually have 2 clips coming your way. Mark, they should be waiting for you there. Yep, we've got one first, a little over 3 minutes for you guys. We're going to hear from Coach Adelman. I would imagine there's a lot he's frustrated about in this loss, but we're going to hear from him, hear his thoughts. We'll reconvene, and then we should have another Coach Adelman clip coming shortly from Ball Arena. Shout out to our team over there getting us all this great content. But here is the first clip, a little over 3 minutes from Coach Adelman. Let's check it out.
Coach, because you don't get this experience during the regular season, that 36-hour window, did you do anything to kind of make sure the guys were as rested as possible? And what do you do going forward with only a day off?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is at least this next game, we have all tonight, all tomorrow, and then, Game 5 is another late night Central Time game, so we'll probably tip at 8:50. So at least this one is legit rest. It was almost impossible, this situation. You just don't do anything. You stay off your feet. It's all mental reps. The only time we had them on their feet was a very general walkthrough on the court of a possible adjustment. We ran a different kind of zone to start the game, a few things offensively, to get better at, and then you're just off your feet. It's really your only choice. You send them film at night that they can watch while they're just hanging out at their house. But yeah, it's a challenge. But like I said, same challenge for them. I'm sure they hung out at their hotel, stayed off their feet as best they could, knowing that their early start was going to be a challenge. So give them credit, man. That was a mentally tough win. We all were dealing with the same situation, and they came out on top.
David, you've touched on it a couple of times, but their bench outscoring you guys. So much has been made about how deep this roster is. How do you try and counter that?
Well, we just have to get more from more people, and I have to, maybe play more than 8 guys. I felt like it was, once we pushed it to 8, I really stayed with a shorter rotation thinking that we had a chance to kind of push that thing, and take control of the game because both teams were so exhausted at that point. And then, like I said, they made shots, and then once they got the game back to a balanced place where it was a 1-point game or tied, it's hard to stay in a rotation after that. And he stuck to his guys late as well. So just got to give credit to Alex Caruso, man, Aaron Wiggins and Kason. They made big plays, and like I said, in a game where it kind of was a role-player game. No one is that efficient outside of those guys. And like I said, super proud of our effort. Just have to play better if we're going to win 2 more in this series.
The idea of this 36-hour window, you've done well with the limited rotation you had. To what consideration could you even give to extending your bench this late in the playoffs?
You're right. And I think it's one of those things when you lose a game, you think about everything right away. And you wonder, is Jamal's legs a little fresher if you can go 2 more minutes? And I was trying to use my timeouts effectively in the fourth quarter to rest them. Sometimes the timeouts don't mean anything but that. I've talked about that. And you're right, it's tough. But you have to look back at the game, see what the efficiency was of how we played. Obviously, we were very tired, as they were. And take a look at the whole roster of guys that can help you, and give you a couple minutes of energy. And it's like tonight, I only played Peyton 8 minutes and 40 seconds. I thought Peyton was really impactful. He played super hard. And that's all you can do with the minutes that you're given. But yeah, we've rode our guys throughout the season for good reason. It's an amazing starting 5. But I got to try to be as creative as I can be to help them have some legs late in the game.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
What changes do you want to see Coach Adelman make? He talked a little bit about only playing Peyton 8 minutes. What I love about Peyton Watson is I actually had a friend of mine texting me being like, I feel like Peyton Watson's a liability. 2 seconds later, Peyton made a huge play. That's what Peyton Watson does. He can be a liability. All of them can. Let's be real. All of the Denver Nuggets can be a liability. But Peyton Watson always seems to find a way to make up for a mistake in the game. And we saw him playing some pretty crucial minutes in the first few games of this series. But what do you want to see Coach Adelman do differently from a coaching perspective in Game 5?
I know Nuggets fans might not want to hear this, but you might have to sit Jokic a little bit longer. Get him some rest.
So that he can pop off in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, it's like give him some rest. Let him give him a couple more breaks in the game. Maybe you got to use a Zignanji or you got to use a DeAndre Jordan for 8 minutes of a game. But obviously, Jokic's legs are gone. He's short on every one of his threes. Even on his putbacks, they're all short. Everything's short, which means he's tired. So you have to figure out a way to kind of give him a little bit more rest. And the only option, I guess, is to play those other guys. And so that's the one thing I would like them to see, because they really don't have any options.
No.
And that's where the Nuggets are restricted.
Their depth.
Their depth. Their
Yep.
roster in general, their depth.
100%.
Them not really making any moves at the trade deadline. You're seeing that kind of come to fruition right now.
To be honest, you're also seeing, like, let's call it what it is. You're also seeing Calvin Booth's somewhat idiotic decision-making affect the Nuggets in the long haul. That's what you're seeing. It's really unfortunate. I understand he wanted to invest in the young guys, but there is something at this level of the NBA season, when you're on the biggest stage and you're playing in the playoffs, there's something about a veteran presence, someone who's been there, done that makes a huge difference. We're hardly seeing minutes from Julian Strother, Jalen Pickett, and that has nothing to do anymore with beef between Malone and Booth. That's just because they're not ready. They're not ready for these big moments. And so what we're also seeing is poor decision-making by Calvin Booth that's going to affect the Nuggets for probably a while. And it's really unfortunate. Sadly, I think Coach Adelman has to do his best with what he's got. And that's going to require a lot of strategy. When do you use a Russell Westbrook? Is he your closer because he has those fresher legs? When do you utilize Peyton Watson? It really does require strategy, because the Nuggets are restricted. They don't have the depth that other teams have. Certainly not that OKC has. So it's going to be tough. Series is still tied, though, so we're remaining optimistic. We have another clip, just over 3 minutes from Coach Adelman. After we play these clips, we'll reconvene again. And then, of course, we're going to try to get a couple of players in here as well, hear from them before we wrap things up for the show today. But here's another clip from head coach Adelman. Let's hear it.
Fire away. Coach, what do you attribute the poor shooting overall? And also, you guys have made a legacy on being able to finish, and weren't able to finish today. What do you think contributed just to being such a bad first and fourth quarter shooting?
I thought a lot of tired legs out there from both teams. I really thought the difference in the game is their bench kind of lit a fuse for them. Like they made threes, when we zoned up. Pretty incredible in a game where the two teams shoot 21 of 86 from three. So I thought you could see, right at the start of the game, you could see both teams, just the legs were not there. The finishing around the basket is their length. We can't go 10 for 25 near the rim. You have to finish those baskets. It's so hard to get there. And it's funny, this game was so similar on both ends. You look at them, only 30 in the paint, 15 to 30. So I just really thought the difference was those guys, give them credit, Caruso, Wiggins, and Wallace. Those shots were the difference. We got up 8 through pure effort and energy, not necessarily playing well, and those guys made a huge impact. And then I thought when we went back to the man-to-man stuff, Shea's tough in the pick and rolls, but we did a decent job on him, but we did not execute offensively. You can't take a 5-second call. There was multiple things that happened there at the end where the game just slowly got away from us. So a lot to learn from. 3-game series now, going down to a building that we know it's tough to play there. We found a way to win down there before. So we'll regroup tomorrow, watch the film, get better for Game 5.
David, you mentioned the energy and the effort in the third quarter, started the fourth growing it to 8. Why wasn't that able to be sustained in the fourth quarter and down the end?
Yeah, I think sometimes when you can't make a shot, at some point it's going to affect you. I could not believe the guys throughout the first half, when nothing's going good for you offensively, how it never affected the energy on the other end. And when you do that, you stay in the game. And I'm sure that wasn't the most fun game to watch in the first half at all, but we were just trying to stay in the game, and we did. And then to make that run in the third quarter with defensive energy and collapsing and just flying around, winning the defensive rebound, the 50-50, it gave us a chance, and we saw a couple shots go in finally. I think it loosened up the guys a little bit offensively during that stanza. But all the stuff we talk about, it's tough. I'm putting them in a zone. I mean, they had 15 offensive rebounds. We got to do our best to keep them off the glass, but I was really proud of the effort. We just didn't play well enough to win.
Coach, then, do you think this is simply the result of this game is because of poor scheduling by the NBA?
No, I'm not going to say that. I don't want to say that. I will say that I think both teams were very tired coming off an unbelievably physical overtime battle on a late Friday night. So if it affected us, it surely affected them as well. I mean, both of us had super tired legs. So it was about who's going to make that final run. And when we got up 8, I thought we were making the push. And to their credit, they were the ones to make the final run. And we made mistakes late. You can call them mental mistakes, physical, whatever it was. We didn't play well enough the last 6 minutes to win a playoff game.
Yeah, you can't wait. Not against OKC. You better put your behind in gear quickly. And again, when you watch the first and the fourth quarter, combined total, 26 points scored by Denver. They didn't start with enough energy. They clearly did not close with enough energy. And I do think, who's the Energizer Bunny? Not just of the Denver Nuggets, but of the effing league. It's Russell Westbrook. And he had an off day. He really did. And of course, we knew it was coming. I've already gotten a tweet saying still having fun with a screenshot of Russ's stat line. That's hilarious. They're just waiting for the one moment that they can flex that he had a bad game. There's every player in this series has had a bad game. And Russ definitely, again, though, when Russ has a bad game, it shows the magnitude, the value that he has brought to Denver, because when he's off, it really feels like, oh, you needed that Energizer Bunny in the fourth quarter. You needed some of his threes to fall. You needed him to get some steals and some big time rebounds. When you don't get that from him, it does make a huge difference.
Well, you can't have both of them off. You can't have MPJ off and Russell Westbrook off. And that's what you saw today. Yep. You saw Russ having an off game, which, that's fine. Because he's been hot really this whole playoff run. MPJ went right back to, he had one good game. He went right back to how he was before.
Yep.
And so, you just got to rely on him to eventually get it together. But yeah, that's tough. And one thing I just want to see from the Nuggets, I want to see them put pressure on the Thunder. It's always the Nuggets trying to come back. It's never the Thunder having to fight and claw their way back.
Well, you know what? No, Shelby, that's what freaking ticks me off so bad. The Thunder did have to climb back in the third quarter, and the Nuggets let them be successful at it. That's what makes me mad. The Nuggets had this game in their hands.
I want to see them do it early, though.
I know. I'm with you.
First quarter, jump out to a 10-point lead.
Yep.
They always say punch a bully in the chest and see how they react.
Punch him in the face.
Most of the time, they're going to fold. You know what I mean? So that's what I want to see. I want to see the Nuggets actually come out and be aggressive.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean just jacking up threes. I want to see some amazing play calls to start the game that gets some of your shooters open, that drives some of your big guys or opens up lanes for people to attack the rim. And then after that, then you can just start shooting the threes because you got to at least attack the middle. I'm going to keep saying this. Please, just attack the rim. Please.
We're begging you, actually.
Please. Because obviously the shots are not falling. And even for, I know MPJ is a catch and shoot guy. That's what he's here for, the catch and shoot. But if it's not working when you're catching and shooting, then you literally are bringing nothing to the team.
Correct.
So then you got to start changing up and doing something different. So that's what I thought when I saw him with his first dunk. I was like, oh, he's inside the 3-point line.
Right.
Look
We're
at
getting
us.
something today, yeah.
Look at us.
Yeah.
We're doing something different.
Yeah. No, it's tough.
But then he went right back to the 3-point line, and then that's what happened today. Also, I would like to see Russ stop shooting so many threes.
You know what's so tough?
He's been hitting them, though.
I know. And you know what's so hard is that I understand the narrative and the idea that getting the ball to the open man is the right play. Of course. But sorry to be this person. Sorry to be Miss Negative Nancy. Sue me. The Nuggets haven't historically been hitting wide open shots this season.
Not at all.
That's not been their game, really, actually. I could name quite a few moments where players were wide open, whether it be Jamal, MPJ, Jokic, it didn't matter. Wide open shots were being missed all season. So I understand the idea of finding the open man is the right play. But in Denver, it doesn't feel like it's always the right play. Just because you're wide open doesn't mean you should take the shot. Because I've seen a lot of wide open shots that the Denver Nuggets have unfortunately not made this year.
And I'm so happy you said the quiet part out loud. Just because you're open, you don't have to shoot it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could drive it, make the play. But, the one thing I do enjoy watching Russell Westbrook on the fast break.
Yes.
And but the issue I have, though, is I feel like he's kind of tailing off a little because he has been missing a couple of the fast break free layups, but that's what he does. That's Russ.
That's the good with the bad. Yep.
Just keep going. I don't want to see him switch up anything. Play how Russell Westbrook plays.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But Russell Westbrook, yeah, he might shoot 3 threes a game, but you don't need it every quarter.
Correct.
I want to see Russell Westbrook just play like Russ because especially when you see it, like I want them to notice when MPJ is not doing good. All right, Russ got to be like, it's my time to just go to the hoop and make shit happen.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a really tough spot because you win as a team, you lose as a team. And I think the only way Nuggets survive this series is by continuing to build on that team chemistry and that team dynamic almost now more than ever. So when Russ has a bad night, MPJ has a bad night, those are the type of guys that just need to be lifted up. You just have to motivate them more. You have to kind of push some of that confidence in them. We know how mental MPJ's game can get. And when he lacks confidence, he's a completely different basketball player. So you just really hope that we get more of that team basketball in game 5. It's tough. Game 5 is going to be tough. Let's see. I'm seeing some of the comments here. Liv, you still think OKC is beatable? They've been beat twice, so yeah.
Hey, it's
Yes,
the same. It's the same. You know, as like you said, it's obvious. All people are doing is just listening to what people on SportsCenter, ESPN, all they're saying. Because right now, according to them, OKC is the runaway favorite. You know what I mean? To go to the finals out the West, and it doesn't make any sense because you guys have to prove it. The reason that we believe in Minnesota is because they've proved it and they've gotten at least to the finals, you know, to play. You know what I mean? And so we've seen them do it. Oklahoma City, when they were the number 1 seed, have failed multiple times. So we need to see them because also they necessarily didn't do anything to dramatically improve their roster. They kind of just went in with the same guys and Hartenstein. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are you really going to do different to make it there?
Mm-hmm.
So it should be very interesting. I just think in order for the Nuggets to be successful, we got to get these assist numbers up.
Like, which is crazy because they were the best team in assists almost all regular season long. I mean, that was their game.
But we had 17 assists. Joker could have that in one night.
Mm-hmm.
So that just shows they are disturbing the Nuggets brand of basketball. And the Nuggets have to get back to playing like how they play. They share the ball, they distribute it all over the place. Open man gets the ball. It's too much one-on-one.
Yep.
Let's watch them actually run an offense. See, that's the thing. It's like when you get to, you know, crunch time, a lot of people, you know, they go like this.
Mm-hmm.
They tighten up. They tighten up.
The Nuggets tonight.
I know, and they tighten up, and you guys just relax and just play your brand of basketball. And if you do that, like I still do believe the Nuggets have a great chance of winning the series. They just can't keep playing the quarters, certain quarters, the way they're doing it. Yep. Like this game, it was the first and the fourth. You know, every game of the series has been the first. You have to put together good quarters and bring all these drives and just make it that you actually have something to build on.
Mm-hmm.
And the Nuggets are literally fighting from 10, 15 down every second quarter.
Yep.
It's just not sustainable. It's honestly lucky right now that the series isn't over going for the Thunder because of the way the Nuggets have started every game.
Yep.
And so that shows you how good the Nuggets can be. So let's actually watch them be the team that we know they can be.
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. If we want to just keep it transparent, the bench was the difference maker today. 35 points for OKC's bench, only 8 for Denver. At the end of the day, we are too late to fix this issue. The Nuggets don't have depth. We know this. It's been an issue all season long. There is nothing we can do about it right now. You are likely not going to get 35 from the Nuggets bench. You're just not, okay? But what you can do is do a better job of slowing down OKC's bench so that when you're giving the starting 5 a hard time, their shots aren't falling. They're not playing their best offense. You're not allowing these guys to come off the bench with fresh legs and put 35 on your head, okay? The Nuggets cannot fix their depth issue. We have to wait until the offseason and next year to even address it. What we've got is what we've got. But the defense has to tighten up on those guys that you may not be worried about. Well, start worrying about them, okay? That bald man crash out that I had the other night, I almost had another one today. Caruso, to me, is like the Drew Holiday for the Celtics. He 100%. Was that piece for OKC that just elevated them to another level. He is giving the Nuggets hell on both sides of the floor. Caruso might single-handedly eliminate the Denver Nuggets from the playoffs. That's the type of basketball he's playing. So you can't fix your depth issue. What you can do is get your defense a little tighter so that their bench isn't going 35 versus 8.
Yeah.
That right there, that's the game. They scored 35 points off their bench. We only scored 8 off ours. That's the game.
You know what else is a game?
Hmm.
All of the Thunder's offensive rebounding.
Oh my God.
That is what's killing
I'm so
the
sick
Nuggets.
of it.
And don't get me wrong, the Nuggets did a great job of offensive rebounding today. The only difference today, it went from 15 offensive rebounds for the Thunder, and it was 12 for the Nuggets. And you know who had 7 of those was Aaron Gordon.
He's a dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. But the issue we got to focus on boxing out.
Mm-hmm.
Because too many chances that that Thunder are having with these second chance points. And think about it like this: if you even take away 5 of those offensive rebounds, do you win the game?
Right.
Probably. And that's where the Thunder are great at. They have size all over.
Mm-hmm.
They have size all over. So the Nuggets have to know this and play like they have. Like you already know, shot goes up, find the body.
Yep.
Instantly. But until they do that, the Thunder are going to be able to capitalize on second chance points. You know, if they're going to shoot a 3, it goes long, somehow it just ends up in the Thunder's hands. That's fine. But you can't let them get, the layup rebounds and just putting it right back up. That is unacceptable, and that is what's hurting the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
Those points, though, that's the hidden margin of how you win playoff games. And so those little things the Thunder are doing, they're doing it well enough that they're winning playoff games.
Yep.
So you got to take some notes from them and understand that they are focusing on the offensive glass.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to focus on the defensive glass and boxing out.
Well, and 2, I said this earlier in the season before the playoffs even started. I said, control the controllables, right? The uncontrollable is the Nuggets don't have depth. Too bad, so sad. Nothing we can do about it right now. The uncontrollable is that SGA's whistle these days, out of this world, generational, nothing we've ever seen before. Okay. Just deal with it.
LeBron didn't even get calls like this.
Right. Get over it and deal with it. That's where we're at with the whistle. It's going to be inconsistent, probably always.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be missed calls, probably always. Okay. Those are uncontrollables. So the Nuggets are in a position now where, in my opinion, in order for them to win this series, they have to win comfortably. They have to win with confidence. They have to win with their chest. To Shelby's point, get ahead of this OKC team early. Why are we waiting until the final seconds to make this a game and get back in it? Do it early. Do it from the start. Rattle these guys a little. Make them uncomfortable. The controllables versus the uncontrollables. The stuff you can't control, stop worrying about it. You just can't. There's nothing you can do about the depth. There's nothing you can do about the whistle. What you can do is make your free throws.
And your shots. I haven't seen
what you can do is shoot a little better.
25 for 80. 31.3%.
I mean,
come on. Field.
Come on.
Field.
Those are the things we can control. We cannot control the whistle. We cannot control the depth. We can control how the Nuggets show up, how quickly they show up. And yeah, you got to force this OKC team to be uncomfortable. Here's the other large reality of all of this. You look at the regular season as a whole, and you also look at round 1 for OKC. OKC has rarely felt uncomfortable this year. This whole year, they've been pretty comfortable. They didn't have to worry about the number 1 seed for the majority of the season. They had it locked in.
Mm-hmm.
They have not yet felt uncomfortable. I think in game 1, they were a little uncomfortable. I think in game 3, they were a little uncomfortable. Game 5, you have to make OKC uncomfortable from jump, because this is not a feeling this team has felt very much this season. They sat at the top of the Western Conference pretty much all year. They swept in the first round. Making OKC uncomfortable, in my opinion, is the only way the Nuggets come out of this series. OKC doesn't miss for the most part, by the way. When I watch these games in this series, it's pretty clear to me OKC rarely misses their shots unless they're uncomfortable. You have to make them uncomfortable. Whatever that looks like. That to me is the only answer for Denver to come out on top.
Well, you're not going to make them uncomfortable shooting 25 for 80 from field goal. But then think about this. You shot 25 for 80. 11 of those were three-pointers.
Mm-hmm.
So you went 25 from 80 from, like, in general, but then 11 for 45 from 3. That was almost Boston Celtics numbers of misses.
Yuck.
Once again, if it's not working, you got to find a different thing to do, because now you just truly, I cannot reiterate this enough. You truly fumbled a great situation.
I agree.
A great situation where you had a chance to go up 3-1 against the number 1 overall seed in the finals, in the NBA. So that's the tough part. But also the positive part is you almost beat the number 1 ranked team in the NBA shooting 31%.
Right.
So that's why I'm just like, all right, yes, played like crap, shot like crap, defended your ass off. But it can't really get, I don't want to say this, don't jinx me, but it can't get worse than that.
God, if it gets worse than that, then I don't think, sue me.
Please.
I don't think you deserve to advance if you keep shooting like that.
No. Like,
I mean, don't
that's
embarrass
tough.
yourself later. Just rip the Band-Aid off, for the love of God. You keep shooting that poorly, you don't stand a chance in this postseason. So you gotta figure it out. 17, 4, and 5 from Jamal Murray today. We've seen worse games by him. We've seen better games by him. But we do have some sound from him, Mark, that we'll go ahead and play. Jamal, from the locker room, we've got a little over, I think it's 3-ish minutes, around 3 minutes of Jamal Murray. We're going to hear his thoughts. Like I said, 17, 4, and 5 from him tonight. He was 2 of 5 from the 3-point line. We didn't really get that blue arrow magic, those playoff heroics from him. But let's hear his thoughts anyways from the locker room following this loss.
Jamal, after a valiant effort to get back in that game regarding the first quarter, how did the game get it? Yeah. How did it get away from you in the fourth?
It was never really away from us. If you go back and look at the scoreboard, it was a close game the whole game. I thought we missed some bunnies. I thought we got really good looks, and sometimes you just don't make the shots that you get. And I think all of us missed some good shots, some good looks, and you need points to get the dub. So I feel like our defense was there for the most part, but one of the rare times we missed too many shots to win the game.
How much do you think tired legs played into that, Jamal, with the quick turnaround?
None at all. Everybody's tired. It's almost summer.
Can you lean on the confidence that you've been there, done that, you've won there? I mean,
it's best out of 3. It's not a funeral, guys. It's best out of 3. You lost the game. On to the next.
What was going on in the third quarter that kind of felt like you guys had found a rhythm, or maybe were feeling a little better coming out of halftime?
We made some shots, so it was good to see the ball go in, and that gave us some life, but we weren't able to keep it up. And it was, like I said, it was some good looks, so it's just a rough day at the office. And like I said, we had our chances, had some opportunities. Our defense held up for most of the game. It was just a tough outing.
Are you proud of that effort, considering shots aren't going down, but you guys really found a way to continue to give that defensive effort?
Yeah, 100%. That's all you could ask for, is just the mentality to go out there and fight and scrap and just stay with it, stay together until shots drop. And they started to as the game went on, but like I said, we just couldn't sustain it, even though we had some great looks.
You guys have made a created a legacy on being able to finish better than anyone these last 3-4 years. Is that part frustrating, that you did enter the third with a lead and weren't able to put them away at the end?
How much were we up?
3. Got up, I think, by 5.
No, I mean, it was, like I said, it was a close game the whole game. We just came up short. That's the way it goes sometimes.
Going forward, just to save your legs, how much are you going to be able to stay off your feet and, I guess, just think of things mentally?
Like how we do, any other games. We're used to it. Get a day off. It's an early game, so we'll recoup tonight. Travel tomorrow, get our minds right, and be ready to go for game 5.
You've been around this team. Why do you like the chances for this team to win 2 out of 3?
Because we've done it before, and we believe in the group.
Have you played in a more physical series than this one?
Sure. I mean, every series is physical. It's hard to kind of match them up, to be honest.
Thanks, Jamal.
Thanks, Jamal.
Thank you.
Okay. Jamal Murray, a little sass monster.
About time.
You know what, though? Listen, if Jamal Murray being sassy means that he pops off next game, sass it away. No, you can just tell Jamal Murray, to him, I think this whole entire Denver Nuggets basketball team, because of the leadership of Nikola Jokic, thinks about the game in a very simple way.
Mm-hmm.
Ball in net. That I truly think Jokic thinks about basketball that way. That's why he drives people crazy. To him, it's, yeah, the shot may be ugly. It may not look great. It may not be the traditional way. But if the ball is in the net, what are you worried about? They asked him last game, what were your thoughts about Russ getting booed for the first time by OKC fans? He's like, it's not really my problem. Like, I think he just thinks about things on such a simple level. But it also, because he thinks about it so simply in such a chaotic game and the way that the game is evolving, he is the unicorn. Because to him, it's just very simple. It's 2 + 2 = 4. Jamal Murray, I think, also thinks about the game that way. And so there's no antics with this Nuggets team. They lost fair and square. That's how they view it. It's a loss. It doesn't matter if it's a blowout loss. It doesn't matter if it's a close game down to the wire loss. A loss is a loss. It's going to piss Jamal Murray off the same way it does getting blown out by 40-something. So Jamal Murray being a little sassy, I like it.
Yeah, I love it.
It pumps me up.
Well, about time. About time. They were just like, you know what? We lost. We got our ass beat. We needed that. We didn't. Because honestly, I understand the sass because it wasn't necessarily much of what the Thunder did that beat them. The Nuggets beat themselves today, just with the awful shooting,
100%.
some careless turnovers, bad fouls. So they know that they should have won this game. So hopefully this could be the starter that actually gets them going and being like, man, look, we lost by 5 and we played like ass.
Yep.
Like, look, we played like ass.
Yep.
So we lost by 5. So it's like, all right, but if we see the ball go in the hoop 3 more times, we win that game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
you make your free throws. Oh, imagine that. Your free effing points. You make your free points. Imagine that. That's game right there, folks.
You would think so.
Lord have mercy on my soul. And that's the thing, you know, those little things that still need refining at this stage of the playoffs. This Nuggets team's too damn talented and too good for those types of mistakes. The turnovers. I mean, what were their turnovers today? Because their turnovers are always an upwards of damn near 20.
Today they had 13.
Oh, so they tidied those up a little bit. OKC turned over quite a
14.
bit early. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, again, OKC is just too good for mistakes.
Yeah. Well, and they're also too good for Russell Westbrook to shoot 9.
Oh, God, not Russell Wilson. I just got PTSD through my whole body.
We're about to go dark.
Oh, my gosh.
No, but we can't have Russell Westbrook shooting 2 for 9 from 3.
No. Like we said, just because you're open doesn't mean you should shoot.
But also, for him, I just know that he can create such an interesting matchup if he drives and drives to the hoop.
I think here's my hot take ahead of Game 5. Russell Westbrook bounces back in a big way in Game 5.
Yeah.
I think he feels comfortable playing in OKC. He did it for a long time and did it very, very well. We saw him play very well in Games 1 and Games 2, despite Game 2 being something I'd try to forget. I think Russell Westbrook bounces back in a big way. And I think it then will prove what I know to be true, which is that he is very valuable to this team. And when he's off like he was tonight, it makes a difference.
Well, the value I think that he's going to bring to this team that we don't actually talk about, when you shoot 2 for 9 from 3, you're in the perimeter. Russell Westbrook will be the one that forces the Thunder bigs to get in foul trouble.
Yep.
He's the one that's going to make them actually have to try to defend on the inside. Yep. He's the one that we need to show them that, yes, like, we can get to the free throw line. We can actually, hell, if we can get Hartenstein in foul trouble, who's guarding Joker?
Right.
So that's the thinking behind it of he's the best finisher at the rim. Just go attack and just see what happens. Because right now, Russell Westbrook's shooting 9 threes. I expect he'll make 3 of them, but I just think he'll have a bigger impact driving to the hole and forcing them really to play defense and actually try to defend layups. Yep. Which we really haven't seen them do. They do it against Joker. All right, so then now Russell Westbrook's running full speed.
Yep.
So either get out the way or jump to save your life. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. We didn't talk enough about CB. CB made a lot of adjustments ahead of Game 3, and it showed in the way that he was defending SGA. Today, a wonderfully complete stat line by him. 17, 4, and 2, 3 steals, 1 block, only 1 turnover. CB is very crucial to this Nuggets success and has been all season long. He's been exceptionally consistent for this Nuggets team, despite most of Nuggets Nation not really knowing what he was going to bring you as a starter, because in a lot of ways he was unproven. You know, we know what he did with that second unit, but to be a starter is a little bit different. And he exceeded expectations in a lot of different ways this season. And today, second leading scorer, tied with Jamal Murray behind Nikola Jokic with 27. So you got out of CB exactly what you needed. Unfortunately, it was not enough, but we do have CB's post-game presser, a little over 4 minutes from him. Let's hear his thoughts, because he showed up, he showed out. Unfortunately, it was not enough, but I do think when you're a guy that wins a championship at every level of your basketball career, his mentality, I would imagine he's pretty fired up right now to get on the road and take care of business in Game 5. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but let's check out CB's post-game presser now.
Christian, just from your perspective, what happened in the first quarter? You guys only score 8 points, and it felt like there was a lid on the rim for much of that time.
We just missed a lot of shots. I think we got a lot of good ones. They just didn't go down, and I think obviously that's a big part of the game. Our big moment in the game, we just didn't play well offensively. Thought our defensive energy was great, though, even though we were missing shots, so just got to keep that up.
Christian, despite the rough start, you guys are up 8 at one point before it gets away. Do you feel like that was just, did you guys run out of physical energy, or was there like a sigh of relief, like we survived the rough start, we're up 8 and we're...
Neither. We just didn't make enough plays. I think that we had the physical energy. We put ourselves in a really good spot, I think, and battled back, like you said. Played well defensively all game. Just didn't hit enough shots. Got a little careless with the ball, I think, late. But we'll be better next game, and we'll be ready.
Christian, walk me through the 5-second call there. What happened?
It's my fault, and I got the ball. So I got to get guys in their spots, or at least not take the ball out until guys get in their spots, and we got to be better at that point. It's a big point in the game. I think it was a 3-point game at the time, and then we give the ball back to them. So big moment, and I got to do a better job of getting the guys where they're supposed to be.
CB, I know you said you guys generated good shots, but you guys seem to shoot less in the paint today than kind of your normal. Does there need to be a refocus on just getting back into the paint for Game 5?
Well, I mean, we always have that focus. I think that we always do a good job of getting good shots in the paint, getting enough shots in the paint, but we shot a lot of really, really good shots, open shots that we will hit next game, and we just got to hit them. That's all it was. We took a lot of really good shots, especially in the first half, and they just didn't go down, but that's okay. We'll be ready for next game.
Christian, it feels like throughout these entire playoffs, the momentum has swung so far left, so far right for you guys throughout the entire time. Just what has given you the ability, was given this team the ability to kind of stay the course?
I think we've seen so much. We've been through so much together. Especially those 4 guys and all the coaches. They've been through so many series, and they've been to the top. They've won it. They've missed a play. They've done everything. So I think that we'll be ready and we'll stay together. And just the most important thing on our mind is next game. So we got to be better for Game 5, and we got to go to Oklahoma and we got to get one.
Christian, you guys already been through a 7-game gauntlet. There's a 36-hour, turnaround from 3 to 4. Is it tough, just playing a team like Oklahoma City in this particular type of game that can throw, 9, 10 bodies, fresh legs out there at a time against you guys?
I mean, yeah, they're a good team. They're deep, and that's just who they are. They throw a lot of different guys at you, and I think their bench today maybe was the biggest part of the game. They came in and hit a lot of really tough shots, really big shots. Timely shots, especially late in the second half, and those guys, I think, put them over the top tonight. But it doesn't matter. We got enough energy. We work hard enough to put ourselves in a good spot. And like I said, we were right where we wanted to be. We just didn't make enough plays, and I think I got to get us organized better on both ends in the second half, especially when we did get that lead coming out of the timeouts. I got to make sure we're, in our spots and we're ready to play. So we'll be ready.
Christian, what's just been the emphasis throughout this series in terms of the spacing around Nikola and trying to make things as easy for him to operate with the crowds that they're showing him?
Same as always. I think they're doing a really good job. They've got a lot of really good defenders that they're putting on him, but same spacing as always. Just depending on what they throw at us. We've kind of seen a lot of different things thrown at him. He's seen every coverage. So same things we've always done. We just got to convert, I think, and we got to execute better.
Love it. I mean, CB, he just brings a competitive energy that I think the Nuggets so desperately need.
You can just tell he's a winner.
Yes.
You know, and that's actually one funny thing I always heard about him, though. Won state as a high schooler, you know, won a championship in college, came to Denver, won a championship here. So even though he's young, he's had a lot of championship experience at all these different levels.
Yep.
And so that's why you see a guy that young be so poised and under control and understanding the moment.
Yep.
And I think that's what you will see with CB, like just him growing. Now, obviously, he knows he needs to hit some more of his shots and everything, but just the way that the effort he's given on defense, because they have been putting him damn near on like the best player. He was on Harden last game, and now he's taking the SGA responsibility part of that this game. I mean, this series. So you love what you're seeing out of CB and just the effort and the energy that he brings, and that you cannot replace because that's who he is.
Absolutely.
And so I would just love to see him get started more, knock down a couple more threes, and then really like that's the guy who, you know, I love about him because he's not afraid to take the shot.
No.
He's not afraid of the moment.
His confidence, even as a rookie, was just through the roof.
And so that's the guy that you want on the floor. That's the guy that should be on the floor. So just next game, I'm excited to see what he does and how he responds. I'm excited to see how they all respond.
I was going to say the Nuggets respond well. They know how to make adjustments. We're going to see that ahead of Game 5. We've got one more clip from you, and it's Aaron Gordon talking in the locker room, and then we've got to get out of here. We have not yet made a formal Happy Mother's Day announcement. Shelby has a wonderful wife named Stephanie, who is probably sitting at home going, hello, happy Mother's Day to me. Where are you? We have one more clip, Stephanie, I promise. And then he's on his way home. Have to give a shout out to my mother as well. The best woman that I know, grandmas, aunts, you name it. There's mothers out there everywhere that deserve the best day ever. And you did tell me you did your part today in making Mother's Day special, but your job's not done.
Not done yet. I got to go home and,
throw down in the kitchen.
Throw down in the kitchen. Reverse sear some steaks.
Oh,
we got some scalloped potatoes, asparagus.
I love it.
Maybe some cheesecake.
Oh my gosh. I know where I'm going after this. I'm going straight to the Harris's house. No, we are about to get out of here. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. But first, before we get out of here, of course, it would be wrong to not hear from Aaron Gordon, Mr. Nugget, the soul of the Denver Nuggets. We've got a little over 3 minutes from him, and then we will get out of here. Here is Aaron Gordon.
Momentum there going into the fourth, had an 8-point lead. How do you think it got away from you?
They started hitting shots. We got stagnant on offense.
Is that something, you're 2-2 now. You've been here before. Did your confidence take a hit, or is that no big deal? It's a 3-game set.
Well, I'm not going to say it's no big deal. It's not a team that we take lightly, so it's not going to be easy, and we don't want it easy. We're a team that likes it gritty, and we can get it rough, we can get it grimy, so that's what we're going to do.
How do you explain the first quarter and the lack of scoring for both teams? Is that a product of the quick turnaround, the quick schedule?
Absolutely. You have a 8:30 game that goes into overtime, and then you have a 1 p.m. game. 36 hours turnaround, playing the highest level of basketball that you can possibly play. But it's part of it, It's something that we got to get through.
How'd you push through the fatigue to kind of, in the third quarter especially, feel like you took control of that game?
You just got to dig somewhere deep, You got to go into the reserve tank. All the years growing up, doing sprints, doing suicides, for all the years that you've been hurt and haven't been played, you gotta tap into that area, just the battery reserve, and that's what we got to do. We got to dig deep now, and I'm sure, I'm confident that we're capable of that.
Knowing you've won there before, how much confidence does that give you?
I just have confidence in this team regardless of what arena that we're playing in, and regardless of the circumstances.
Joker's obviously probably the most efficient superstar in the league, if not league history. This 3-game stretch, are there things you guys can do to help him, or is it just a matter of like shots he usually hits not falling? What are you seeing?
Well, they're loading him on him and doubling him and tilting him and taking me away in the dunker. So we just got to be ready to make shots. He's going to make the right play over and over and over again. And so what's going to help him is when we do make shots and we space the floor for him. Yeah.
So is that what this series comes down to, making shots?
In defense.
Yeah. You guys have done a great job keeping Shea out of the paint. The last 4.5 minutes or so, he was able to get in there a couple times. J-Dub was able to get away. What happened down the stretch there?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to look at the film. But, I mean, they're slippery dudes, especially Shea. And J-Dub is a hard driver. So, I mean, we got to just do a better job loading up, keeping him out of the paint, continuing to make him shoot from the outside.
Terry, appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean, the respect that I feel like every person on the planet should have for Aaron Gordon in general. But we talked a little bit last show about his shot improvement. He looks like a completely different player than he did last season. And then you add the factor of what he's had to play through, what he's had to deal with in life. And I don't know how he's not everybody's favorite player in the NBA right now.
Man, just as a guy who's been through so much adversity,
yep,
and to just have such a calm, cool, like even keel head on your shoulders, it's just, you can tell the players are playing for that man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They want to win it for him. But also, he's doing everything to win too.
Absolutely.
And just the confidence you're seeing with him on his shots now. And before last year, you see him hesitate to shoot those open threes. Mm-hmm. Now it's no thought. And he's actually been one of the better three-point shooters this series for the Nuggets, which is wild to say because last year you would never have thought that Aaron Gordon would have been one of the better three-point shooters on the Nuggets. But it's just Mr. Reliable. Whenever Aaron Gordon has the ball in his hands, you just assume he's going to make a play, and it's going to be the right play. And because he has been doing that, for most of this season and the whole playoffs. And so I'm excited. I'm always excited to see how Aaron Gordon's going to respond because you can kind of tell how he responds is how the team will respond.
Yep.
Because he's him and I say Russell Westbrook are the official like leaders of this team. They go as they go. So it's just such a cool thing to be able to cover a guy like Aaron Gordon and throughout the years and then seeing how even NBA players work on their craft to get better. And that just shows you something. If you see somebody at the top of their profession,
yep,
and they're still working to get better, what can you do?
Absolutely. Pop that last comment up on the screen. I'm choosing violence today. Shut your pie hole. Shut up. I mean, seriously, shut up. Yes, you're right. People do lose people every day. We can't sit here and gas up Aaron Gordon just a tiny little bit. Shut up.
Oh, I just realized where he was going with that. You're ass.
Right.
No,
what
and I think
you're weird.
This is the problem I always say with social media. People aren't used to getting punched in the face.
It's true.
And I'm being dead ass serious.
Because most of these trolls, I'll tell you what, the trolls never have their face.
No.
Never have their name. They are faceless little scaredy cats. Okay. And that is just crazy to me. That is crazy. We need to, I've joked about it. Bullying. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of bullying.
Some people need it.
Some people need to get their stuff rocked a little bit.
Symbol needs to get like literally, what was that thing called? A swirly.
Yeah.
A swirly.
Yeah. A swirly.
Now don't go up and saying like Shelby Harris is advocating for swirly. No, just for you, Symbol. Just for you, Symbol. Because what type of asshole comment is that?
Right.
Yes, people lose people every day. Yes. And then, so allow them to grieve.
Right.
Allow them to feel. Isn't that what makes us human?
Right.
Because obviously that comment, that makes you look more like a robot than a human because where's your heart?
Right.
You know what I mean? People lose people every day, yes, but you losing somebody that's close to you, somebody that matters to you. What type of shit is that?
It's
but
weird.
that's what's wrong with the world today, though.
Yeah.
Is where's the sympathy? Where's your heart at?
It's true. And I'm seeing a bunch of comments too about Jokic wearing pink shoes or something that's causing a lot of issues.
Who
I guess.
cares?
What do we? Are we 5?
Were they mad about? Is this like the pink bats on Mother's Day for baseball? And
I don't know.
Who cares?
Yeah. What is the problem with the color pink? I mean, that's the issue. That's the issue with our world is that those are the things that we're so pressed about.
Pink.
I could list a million other things that consume my thoughts, and it's not men wearing the color
He
pink.
really said they will never win wearing pink tennis shoes. Period.
What the hell?
It really wanted me to say period poo. That's what I felt like when I saw that.
I mean, this is just so childish. It's unbelievable.
Come on.
It's unbelievable. That's how you know we got to get up out of here, because what in the world is going on here? Listen, the Denver Nuggets are still in this thing. The series is tied 2-2. I know this game felt like the series may have been lost. I don't believe that it has, but I do believe the Nuggets have a lot that they have to adjust ahead of Game 5, going on the road, going back to OKC if they want to win. And in my opinion, whoever wins Game 5 is winning the series. And if the Nuggets win this series, they're winning it all. If OKC wins this series, they might be in trouble.
Give me one future star for next game. Who's going to be the one other than Joker? Because we obviously know he's going to get his shit together. So other than Joker, who's going to be the person to lead the Nuggets to that win in Game 5 in Oklahoma City at Paycor Arena?
Russ comeback game. Russ was great in Games 1 and Games 2, even in Game 3. This was an off game for him. He's allowed to have those. Everybody in this series has. I think Russell Westbrook steps up big in Game 5 for the Nuggets. What's your answer?
It's just so I don't copy you. Just so I don't copy you, Christian Braun. Because he already has the mentality. The shots just have to start falling.
He does.
And so I think it's going to start early. Christian Braun, quick 12 points in the first quarter. Nuggets going to be up by at least 8 in the first quarter next game. Mark my words.
I love it. Okay. This has been another Guerrilla Sports Off Court, a post-game live reaction edition following Game 4. We will have a post-game live for you following Game 5. I'll likely be from my home studio on that one. We're doing like the home away vibe. If the Nuggets are away, I'm away, I guess. That's kind of how we're looking at it. But I do think this series goes the distance. So, of course, we'll have plenty of post-game live reactions to come. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And shout out to our friends at Trusted American Mortgage. You guys can head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money, getting you a better interest rate, lowering your monthly payments. You name it, they've got it. Shout out to our friends over at Trusted American. And shout out to you guys. Thank you for being here. We've got over 20,000 live viewers right now. We appreciate you more than you know. And this is only the beginning. Hopefully this series goes the distance. Hopefully the Nuggets advance. You're not getting rid of us anytime soon. So series tied 2-2. Nuggets on the road taking on OKC yet again for Game 5. Fingers crossed for a dub. And we'll catch you post game following Game 5. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Liv Moods. That's Shelby Harris. Happy Mother's Day, and we'll see you guys very soon.
Mama.
Bye.